Kid Buu wasn't the first Majin Buu. That's right, you heard it correctly. We've always thought that Kid Buu was the first Majin Buu, but according to the latest information from Dragon Ball DAIMA, we've been wrong all along. Let me break it all down for you right now. Stay connected in the channel and let's go to the video. Before the universes were created, the demon realm already existed, and the king of that dimension ordered a super Majin named Raimus to create the universes because he wanted to expand his domain. Raimus obeyed the king's order and created the universes, but he wanted there to be order within them. To achieve this, he selected individuals he deemed capable from the Glind race to help oversee and organize the universes. These individuals became known as the Supreme Kais, the gods of creation. Many years later, a mage from the third demon world named Bibidi went to a witch named Marba and asked her to create a super demon, probably with the intent of killing all the Glinds from the second world. But why did Bibidi do this? He did it because he had something against the Glinds being considered gods in the universes. It was made clear in Dragon Ball Z that both Bibidi and Babidi hated the Supreme Kais. And based on what we're now seeing in Dragon Ball DAIMA, they came from the same realm. This implies a rivalry between Bibidi and the Glinds, perhaps even between their respective races. Well, we've already seen how Marba created Majin Buu, since it was likely the same process she used to create Majin Ku and Majin Du. Marba prepared her cauldron, combined some elements to create him, used her magic, and finally brought Majin Buu to life. More specifically, the first Kid Buu, the purest form of Majin Buu we've known until now. Interestingly, not even Marba herself could have imagined that Majin Buu would be so powerful or capable of causing so much destruction. She's even reluctant to admit she created Majin Buu. After he was born, Kid Buu was taken to the planet Kaishin and wiped out dozens of Glides who lived there, to the point that some had to board a spaceship and flee to the outer world, but it was all in vain. Bibidi took Majin Buu to the Supreme Planet in search of the Supreme Kais. There, Buu killed the Supreme Kai of the West and North, absorbed the Supreme Kai of the South and the Grand Supreme Kai, leaving only Shin, the East Supreme Kai, who later became the sole Supreme Kai of Universe 7. This brings us to the events of the Majin Buu saga, where Buu underwent several transformations before being destroyed by the Spirit Bomb, leaving only Fat Buu carrying the essence of the Grand Supreme Kai, and later Oob, Kid Buu's benevolent reincarnation. Before I continue with the video, let me quickly ask you to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Do it because it helps us out a lot, okay? Now let's move on. In an interview, when asked about the Supreme Kais, Akira Toriyama said they lived on a planet called Kaishin, were born from a tree, and that there were 80 members of their species on the planet. Of course, in Dragon Ball DAIMA, some things have changed compared to what Akira mentioned in the past. For example, the Supreme Kai's race wasn't called Glides, but Shinjin. The tree they were born from wasn't called the Glides trees, but the Kaiju tree. However, despite these slight changes in Dragon Ball DAIMA, mainly in the naming of certain elements, the final product is quite similar to the prototype Akira described years ago. Fruits, the planet, the tree, it's all there. In other words, they're reinterpreting the original idea. So what's stopping the possibility that in the demon realm on planet Kaishin, there really were 80 Glides, but when Majin Buu appeared, he killed most of them? The survivors of this massacre could be Shin, Degesu, and Arinsu. That is, if Degesu and Arinsu were on the planet at the time. As we've seen, they weren't like the other Glides in terms of character and personality. Well, Shin might have survived this massacre and fled to the outer world, seeking refuge with the Grand Supreme Kai and the other Supreme Kai of Universe 7. This makes sense if we consider that when referring to Shin's departure from the demon realm, it's implied he escaped, and if he escaped, maybe he was facing some kind of danger. One thing that set Universe 7 apart from the others is that, as far as we know, Universe 7 was the only one to have 5 Supreme Kais working simultaneously, while in other universes, we typically see only one god and an assistant. Perhaps the other Supreme Kai also fled the demon realm because of Majin Buu, and sought refuge with the Grand Supreme Kai. The only exception is the Supreme Kai of the South, who was already confirmed to have been with the Grand Supreme Kai long before, ever since Moro was sealed. After eliminating the Glides in the Demon Realm, Bibidi's plan might have been to wipe out all the others scattered across the universes, starting with Universe 7. But before he could do this, the Grand Supreme Kai thwarted his plan by altering Majin Buu's personality, leading Bibidi to decide to seal the monster instead. So, to sum up, it's clear they are not discarding the information previously provided by Akira, they are just reinterpreting it. Looking at this, we can even say that the earlier statement about Majin Buu's origins could also be just a reinterpretation. When asked about Majin Buu, Akira responded with the following, and I quote, "Although the Kaioshin said in the manga that Bibidi created him, the truth is that the being called Buu wasn't created by Bibidi but has existed since time immemorial. He went through cycles of long hibernations and rampant destruction. Over the many iterations of this cycle, he absorbed the evil elements of humanity, becoming increasingly violent." End quote. If Majin Buu is a being from time immemorial, formed by the universe's malice, how was he created by Marba, as Dragon Ball DAIMA claims? The answer is quite simple. They reinterpreted that statement as well, but perhaps they went even further. What if, at the moment Raimus created the universes, a demonic energy indeed began to manifest as a consequence of Raimus's perfect creation? And what if this being became a super Majin capable of challenging the demon realm? A battle may have taken place between the demon realm and this primordial demon, where the demon was eventually sealed. Years later, the wizard Bibidi could have accessed a fragment of this primordial demon, brought it to Marba, and asked her to create a Majin, giving life to Kid Buu. We saw in Dragon Ball DAIMA that Marba can only create a Majin using a fragment of another Majin, as was the case with Majin Buu and Majin Ku. In other words, for her to have created Majin Buu, another similar Majin must have existed before him. This could be the reinterpretation they're making of Akira's official statement from years ago. So, the true Majin Buu might still be dormant or sealed somewhere in the multiverse. Of course, this being's name wouldn't necessarily be Majin Buu, as every new creation gets a different name despite looking similar. So this being's name could be Majin Zu, Majin Fu, Majin Mu, or something along those lines. We've seen Akira reuse one of Goku's scrapped Super Saiyan 3 designs to create Vegeta's Super Saiyan 3. This means he revisited one of his early ideas from the Majin Buu saga and incorporated it into Dragon Ball DAIMA. In other words, Akira might have pulled one of the original discarded designs for Majin Buu from the Dragon Ball Z saga for this first Majin Buu. As you can see, there are some really cool design ideas. Comment below which design you think should be used for an original Majin Buu if this theory turns out to be correct. Also, share if you agree with this theory. I think it makes a lot of sense. Like the video now if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel to keep getting tons of content about Dragon Ball DAIMA and Dragon Ball in general. Share this video with a friend who's a Dragon Ball fan. If you'd like to support our channel directly and gain exclusive benefits for a very small amount, sign up for our Patreon. To learn more, click the link in the video description or the pinned comment. Thanks a lot to everyone who made it this far, and I'll see you in the next video.